Hi everyone, this is Professor E. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. The first thing, just a quick reminder about Project One. So I talked about it last week. So basically we have two parts in Project One, as you can see. They're very, very simple. The first one, as you can see, part one, 100 points. So Grimaldi's pizzeria needs a program to calculate the number of slices of pizza of any size can be divided into. The program should perform the following steps. So it's gonna input your first and last name, and then it's gonna ask input from the user to enter any diameter, like any random number of the pizza in inches. Somebody, for example, it may enter 5, 6, 10, 12. And then you're going to calculate the number of slices that may be taken from a pizza. That's how many slices you can make based on the information provided. And it's very simple because here it gives you the formula. So you need to calculate the area of the circle. The pizza is a circle. So if you have the diameter, you need to divide it by 2 to get the radius, because to calculate the area, it is radius square, r square, times pi, right? By r squared. So you need to get the diameter divided by 2, and then square it, and then multiply by 3.14. Okay? So that's what that's the explanation right here. So that's the first one, very simple. So we're gonna divide, make sure. Now, once you get the area, you need to divide it by this number, which is 13.524. And then it will give you the number of slices, okay? So for the second part, part two, so we're gonna create a menu. So a menu is when you have like a list of options, 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D. And then you prompt the user, or you ask the user to pick one option. You know, sometimes you go to the ATM machine and then you find the menu. Number 1, to check your balance. Number 2, to make a deposit. Number 3, to make a withdrawal. Number 4, to exit, and so on. So this is something. So you're going to be using either the if statement. Well, we didn't learn about match case. Also, it's an option. So, but since we learned about the if statement, should be easy. So you're going to put if the user asks number 1. So you're going to write a program that displays the following menu. So you're going to put enter your choice, okay? And then you're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to print them, okay? And then you're going to put if the choice, of course, you're going to prompt the user to enter the choice 1, 2, 3, 4, and then make sure you make it easy for the user. For example, here you may put enter, so we have to save it in a variable. Let's call it choice equal. Remember, we put int, and then we put inputs, and then you put the question here. Okay, for example, enter your choice. Now, before you do that, make sure you put all the choices, because the user has to see the choices. So you're going to put here 1, okay, choice number 1, whatever they're asking here. So you're going to just copy it from here. Ask, so get the first choice from here. So this is choice number 1, okay? And then you're going to do the same thing for choice number 2. So choice print choice number 2. And then you get that from the information here. Okay. So I'm going to pick only 2 just to show you how it works, and then you can finish the rest on your own. So this is choice number 2. Okay. So we already have a variable called choice. You can name it anything you want, and it's an integer, so you're expecting. Now it's a good idea to give a kind of a hint. So you can put here 1 through 4. That means that's what you need to enter, just to help, because they may not know what do you mean by choice. So you put 1, 2, 3, 4, from 1 to 4. And then you start the if statement. So if choice happens to be 1, then you're going to continue, okay? You're going to ask the user for their age. So you're going to put age, int, input, enter your age, okay? So you're going to stay here until you finish, okay? So all of this statement, it's under choice number 1. So ask the user for their age and determine whether the user was born. So then you're going to put if the age is, oh, I'm sorry, you have to calculate the year because it says and determine whether the user was born in an hour. So I'm going to put here birth year equals, of course, today's or this year, which is 2025, minus the age. So that's going to give you the birth. And then you're going to use the if statement, if birth year, and then we use the remainder to, if it's equal to 0, do this, else do this, okay? Else, okay? And then you're going to continue with the same thing, okay? So you're going to put here, if birth is year, print something, whatever, okay? Something. And then else, you're going to print something else. Of course, else and if should be aligned. And then this one, you're going to print something else. Something else. Okay? So that's pretty much, and then you're going to continue with the same thing, LF, and then you continue all the way to the end. LF choice is number 2. So, and then you keep doing the same thing. So the second one is about the tax, calculate the tax. So tell them about the price, or ask them about the price, ask them about the tax rate, and then do the calculation and then print. Okay? And then you go to choice number 3, choice number 4, and so on. All right? So that's basically about project number 1. Okay? If you have any questions, just let me know, but I think it's very straightforward. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about chapter number 3, number 4. Okay? So chapter number 3 is the conditional statement. So chapter number 4, as you can see, we're going to be talking about string. You know what string is? Anything between quotation marks, like a text. So string is basically like a combination or set of characters. I don't want to say letters because it could be letters, it could be numbers, as long, or special characters, as long as between quotation marks, it's called string. Because remember, we have integer, int, and then we have float, which is decimal. We have bool, which is true or false. We have character, which is one single character. And also we have a string. So string or str, so that we use str in Python. So it's just any text, like your name is a string, your address is a string. Anything, any text is called string. So let's open the PowerPoint, and then we're going to have examples how to, and also we're going to be talking about the mathematical functions. And mathematical functions are easy way to help you with the calculation. Like for example, if you have a power, how are you going to calculate the power? The mathematical function is going to give you a function to use, which is pow, P-O-W, to calculate any power. The same thing for the square root. There's a lot of things that you can. So we're gonna use only the most frequently used, okay, not all of them. So as you can see right here, ABS, that's for the absolute value. It's always positive. So sometimes you just want to focus on the distance or the number, the positive, regardless of the sign, whether it's positive or negative. We use absolute value. Okay. The maximum, return the largest among x1, x2, and so on. So that's going to give you basically compare all the numbers and give you the maximum. So here, minimum is going to give you the smallest number. And then the power, so A is the base, B is the exponent. And sometimes this is very useful also to round the number. So you have a decimal, but you want to round it to the nearest integer, so you can use round. But before you can do that, you have to make sure you import. We're going to have an example here. You have to import something called math, as you can see in the example here. So this is others, sill, floor. We're going to use the most frequently, square root. So that's the one we're going to be using the most frequently. Okay. So a string is a sequence of characters. Let me see here if I can use an example for the math function before we get to the string. So the first thing you need to do is import math. That's the first thing. Okay. So now, for example, let's say I want to print a power. So if there is a power, let's say I'm calculating the area of a circle, like the one we have in the project. So if you don't know about the math functions, then you have no choice but to multiply the number by itself. Like let's say, instead of saying square, you just have to multiply 4 by 4. That's 4 square, right? Because you don't know how to use the math function. But now you have that option. So let's say, for example, we need to calculate the area of the circle. So let's say radius. Okay, let's ask the user to enter that. Inputs, enter the radius, for example. Okay, so it's going to be saved in red. And then I can calculate the area. I'm going to say the area of the circle is, now if I don't know about the math functions, now I have no choice but multiply red times red. That's square, right? Because I have no other choice. But using the math function is much easier, because what about if you have a power of 12? So you're not going to multiply 12 times. That's not practical, right? So here you're going to see that it's going to add, let's say, 0.5. So this is the area of the circle is 78.5. Now another option is to use the math. So basically you put math, okay, and then you put the base, which is red, and then you put comma 2. So 2 is the exponent. So you're going to get the same thing, but it's going to be more. Let me see here. Oh, sorry, I forgot the function, which is math.pow. Okay. So as you can see right here, 5, and this is 78.5. Of course, this is more accurate than the other one, than the normal one. Okay, so that's how you calculate the power. The same thing if I want to use the square root. So for example, I can put the square root of, let's say, 80 is, then I'm going to use the same thing, math sqrt. Okay, and then I'm going to put, let's say, 8. Or if you have a variable that holds the value, that should give you the square root, which is, so as you can see, 8.9. Okay, it's very close to 9 because the square root of 81 is 9. So this is close. Okay. Sometimes let's say you have numbers or variables. Let's say 8 is 15, B is 36. And I want to know what is the biggest number. So I can use one of the functions, which is max. I can say the highest number is, and then you put math.max. And then you put the list of numbers, like here in this case, A and B. So if I run it, it's going to give me the highest of the two. You see, oh, math.max. You see what's the problem here? Include print. The highest number is math.max. Did I miss anything here? A and B. So that's the max. You see, we have max, right? Return the largest number. Or maybe this is not part of the math because you have to have them in the list. Let me see. So if we have A is, and I put, let's say, 13, 8, 9. I think it accepts only this. So the max of A of list. I think that's what it is. Let's see. See that? So this is, you have to have the list. We didn't learn about the list. So we'll talk about this later. Okay. But for now, we're going to be using power, square root, and then also there is something called floor. So floor, basically, if we have a number, let's say, I'm going to call it value, and it has 3.15. What is floor? Floor basically it gives you the closest integer which is below or less than this number. Okay, so 3.15 is between 3 and 4. So the floor is 3 and the ceiling is 4. So if I put print, the floor of value is basically, it's like you round it down basically. So I'm going to put here math.floor, and then I'm going to put value. So sometimes you want to look for the closest integer, but still less. Okay. Remember, there are three things here. So as you can see here, so it's 3. But if I put, let me just copy this and do the same thing for cell. So you may not use this, but just in case. Okay. Like this is one of the things that we don't use a lot in our programming, but it's good to know them in case. Cell of value is, now let me put this on, cell. So that's going to give me the highest. So basically, it's like you are rounding it up. Okay. So floor, you will always, it doesn't matter what comes after the decimal point, you always round it down for the floor. Cell, you always round it up. So this will give me 4 because 3.14 is between 3 and 4. So it's like the top and the bottom. Now, what about if I want the actual rounding? So let's say I have here 3.75. It's not going to change. The floor is not going to change because it doesn't really matter what comes after. Decimal point is the lowest integer. Still, it doesn't matter whether you have 75 or 15. It's always the highest integer, the closest highest integer. Now, if you want to round it, like in math, that we do normally in math, that is round. So I'm going to put here the value, the value rounded is, so here you're going to use math.round. That's the actual rounding. So you look at the decimal points. If it is less than 5, then you round it down. If it is 5 or up, then you round it up. So this is the actual rounding. Most of the time, I'm going to be using round because that's what we use in math, okay? You want the closest one regardless. Okay, so as you can see here, round value. So the value round is math.round value. Math.round. Okay, math. Oh, so round is not part of the math. It's part of an. Okay, let me see if I put it just by itself. Is it going to? Let's see. Oh, see? So it just shows you, because it's not part of, so there are some functions that are part of the math, but there are functions that are not part. It's part of the Python built-in package, but it's not part of the math. So that's why, as you can see, like max, we didn't, it's not part of the math. So some of them are not part of the math package or class. It's part of the entire Python program. Okay, so just use it by itself for RAM. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much the some of the math functions. As I said, you just need to be familiar with the most frequently one, like a power, POW, SQRT, ABS. So for example, if I put here minus, so if I put ABS, it's going to give me the absolute value, which is positive. So the value, the absolute value is, and then let me see, start with I think it's a math ABS, and put value. So that's going to give me 3.75 because the negative becomes positive. And I think here it's the same problem. We don't have, it's not part of the math. So just put ABS and it should give you the answer. See that? So 3.75. All right, so this is about the math function. This is only if you need it, basically, like when you try to make mathematical operation or statement, then you may use this as tools to help you with that. All right, now let's move on to the most important part of this chapter, which is the string. So what is a string? Again, string is nothing but a sequence of characters, okay? So anything between quotation marks, but in Python also sometimes they accept also single quote, as like in other languages, like in Python, in Java and C++, all the strings should be surrounded by quotation marks. If you put anything other than quotation marks, then it will be an error. But for Python, I think it accepts also single quote or also as a string. But the most frequently used is quotation marks. Okay. So let's have examples about the string and also how to manipulate the string, how to get substrings, how to, we're going to talk also about the characters, okay? So character, as you can see right here, is nothing but a number. And there is something called ASCII table, where every character, like every key in the keyboard, it is nothing for the computer, it's nothing but a number. That's why you see this 98. So A is the same thing as 97. The computer does not know what the letters are. The only thing the computer knows or recognizes are the numbers. So that's why they associated every key in the keyboard with the number. Now, to make sense of this, let me just take you to a website called ASCII table. So as you can see, this is all the keys in the keyboard. And as you can see, they're all associated with the number. So for example, for uppercase A, as you can see right here, it's 65. So for the computer, A and 65 are exactly the same thing. A and 60 are the same thing. But if it's lowercase, then it's 97. And then everything else is, in order. B is 66, C is 6, and so on. Okay? Now you can switch back and forth. Okay? So as you can see in the example here, so if I declare this variable CHA, so if you want to switch it to the number, then you just have to put order, okay? CH, that means give me the number associated with that character, okay? So this is something that you may use, okay? So this is about character. This is about escape sequences. We're gonna have an example about this. So escape sequences basically are just a character that has a special meaning. For example, when you put \n, and we talked about this last week, it's basically will start a new line. Okay, that's when we put \n. We have an example here. If I put print Python is cool. Okay. And I want to start a new line, I can just put \n and then continue. I am so excited to learn about Python. So if I run the program, this part, Python is cool, will be in one line, and then \n, that's a hint for the program to start a new line. So I put run, see that? So you're going to see the first one is in one line and then the rest. Now, if I change it to T, what does T mean? Tab. That means there is a space between the two. So it's going to be a tab. Tab is basically 4 spaces. So sometimes you want to put like a poem maybe, and then you put 2 parts, okay, separated by tab. You can do that, okay? And then also we have also, let's say, for example, I want to use the quotation marks inside. Then if you don't use / quotation marks, it may create confusion. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, he told me that I am nice. Now, if I put nice between quotation marks, then they may create confusion because you want to show that you don't believe what he said or she said, okay? So you want to put it between quotation marks. But the problem that you have, when you put quotation mark, the program interprets that as you are ending the statement. So that's why to avoid that confusion, you put / when you want that quotation to show, to be visible. Because normally the first quotation mark and the last one are not visible. We see only the text in between. So if you want to show nice, you have to put / quotation mark, as you can see right here. I still have to end. See, I put this, but I still have to end the first one. So I need another quotation mark to close the statements. See, he told me that I am nice. Okay, so just say this is very rare. You're gonna use them, except the \n and \t. You don't use this a lot. All right. So now, and then this is if another way. If you don't want to use \n, you just use print by itself. So when you put print, automatically it's going to start new line. But if you want to continue, just put and. So for example, if you put, let's say, I am, okay, so yeah, I give me a fish. Okay, and I want to continue. I'm going to put here, let's say, and. So if I put the next line, it's going to continue in the same line. I will live for a day. So if I run the program, you're going to see, yeah, I have to close this. So it's going to say, give me a fish, and then make sure there's a space, and then continue in the same line, as you can see right here. Now, without this, it's going to start new line. If I put this, remove it, then it's going to put each one of them separate. So this is if you want to basically print horizontally, we use this. Or you can use \t, right? So they have different options here. Okay. So of course, all of this, you get it with practice. Okay, when you practice, you are going to find it easier. So now we're going to get to the string functions. Again, anything that has quotation marks is called string. So let's have an example about what we can do with the string. And all of this, as you can see, are different ways you can manipulate the string. So let's have an example. So let me get the first one. Let's say I want a word, and then I'm going to put input. Okay. And I'm going to put enter audio. And then print it, right? Print. So that's going to give you a string, right? Like what's computer? That's going to say computer, right? Now let's say I want to change this to capitalize. So as you can see here, you can change it either to lowercase or uppercase. So I can, for example, put here dots. It means when you put dot, that means the next what is coming is a function. So I'm going to put up. And then you put the parentheses to show that it is a function. So enter the word computer. As you can see, it's going to be it uppercase. And of course, if you put lower, then it's going to change to lowercase. What about if it's already lowercase? It's going to stay the same. Like in this case, I put computer, and it's going to stay computer like this. Sometimes you want only part of the string. So in this case, you can use brackets and tell the program where you start, where you end. For example, I want to start from 0, and you put colon. So I'm going to put, for example, from 0 to 5. So what's going to happen? So whatever you enter, assuming that we have enough characters, go from 0. What is 0? 0 is the index of the letter or the string that you have. For example, so if I enter computer, the first letter C has index 0. We can call it seat number, okay? 0. That's how the program knows where every letter, every character is located, is by index. The first index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I put 0, 5, it's like you are telling the program, listen, whatever string you enter, get me only the first characters from 0 to 5, but the second one, 5, is not included. That means you stop 1 before 4. So I go from 0 to 4. So let's have an example. So if I put computer, okay. So when I hit the enter key, the program is going to go from 0 to 4. 0 is C, 1 is O, M is 2, 3, 4. So compute. So if I hit the enter key, you see, compute. So the first number is included, but the second one is not. So now if I put 4, that's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, and stop. So which is 0, 1, 2. So count. So it's going to give you a count. Okay. Now, what about if they put, stop the program. Okay. And then what about if I put nothing? Oh, the computer will assume that you're going to go all the way to the end. So this is 0, nothing. It's like you are telling the program the whole thing. So when I run the program and enter computer, that's going to enter the whole thing, which is computer, because you didn't specify the end. The same thing if I don't put anything in. So that means the whole thing. It's like you did not make any change. You start from the beginning till the end. So that's going to give me the same computer. Okay. Now, what happened if I put, let's say, from beginning till the end, but I want to tell the program how to increment, how to, like if I put 2, that means skip. 0, don't go to 1, go to 2. And then skip 3, go to 4. So 2 is called the steps, okay? So if I run the program and I put computer, look what's gonna happen. So it's gonna skip. So can you see? C, skip O, go to M. Skip P, go to U. Skip T, go to E. And then skip R, there is nothing, and it's gonna stop, okay? Now what about if I put 1? Then you did not make any change because by default it goes by 1. So you're gonna get the same thing. Computer, it's gonna do the same thing because you did not change the steps. Now what about if I put 3? So it's gonna go by 3, which means go from 0, skip 1, 2, then go to 3 and so on. See? So if I put computer, so say it's gonna go C, P, E, C, N. So every time it's going to skip 3 letters. Okay. What about if I put -1? Oh, -1, that means you are going backward. So if I put this, so that's an easy way to put the word in reverse. That's easy way. You put nothing, colon, nothing, nothing, and then the third one, -1. That means basically go back. So I put 1, when I put computer, so it's going to give me the same string, but in reverse. If I put -2, it's still going to go backward, but it's going to be by skipping. So it's going to give R, skip E, go to T, skip U, go to P, skip M, go to O, and so on. So this is a very powerful tool because in other languages, they don't have this capabilities. So it will take them probably 3, 4, 5 lines of code just to have the same word in reverse. In Python, this is a very powerful. In one line, you can make it in reverse. Okay. So if I put computer, it's going to give you RTPO because it skips. Okay. R, skip E, go to T, and so on. So let's say, for example, I want, since we're talking about this, let's say I want a program, I want to create a program that check if a word is palindrome. Okay. Let's check if a given word is a, you know what palindrome is, right? A palindrome is a word that is going to read the same forward as backward. Like, for example, mom, like a race car. Okay, it doesn't matter how you read it, forward or backward, you get the same thing. Okay, so let's check enter, okay, and then I'm going to check. How do you think how can we create that program? Now we already know the reverse, so I'm going to put reverse because that's the ref. So I'm going to put a word, and then I'm going to put colon, -1. So that's going to give me the reverse. And then I will check using the if statement. If word happens to be the same as ref, then you can say print. You can say it is a palindrome. It is a palindrome. Else, if for whatever reason it's not, for whatever reason, then it's not. Even if it's one letter doesn't match, it is not a palindrome. So let's test it, okay? So we're gonna run the program. So let's check if a given word is a palindrome. Let me start with something that is not a palindrome. Computer, see, it is not, because when you make it a reverse, it doesn't match. Now let's run it one more time using a race car. Race car is an example of palindrome, so it will create the reverse, which is exactly the same word but in the reverse, and then it will compare them. Are they equal? So I'm going to run the program. See, it says it is a palindrome. Okay. Okay, this is another example. So let's say it is a palindrome. See? So that's a very powerful tool. Okay. So again, the string with this is called, by the way, slicing. Slicing is basically when you try to get part of the string. It's called slicing. Okay. So remember, you have 3 values that you have to enter. The first one is the starting, where you want to start from. The second one, where do you end? But it's not included. Remember, the second number is not. It is an index of the character, but it's not. It's gonna stop one step before. Okay. And the third number is the steps. Okay. Normally, if you don't put anything, by default, it is by 1. And if you put 2, it's gonna skip. So here, 2, 7, 2. So of course, this will give me a difference. It's not going to give me the reverse because I'm going from 2, the index 2, which is the third character, till 6, okay? Because remember, 7 is not included, but I will skip, okay? So that's basically how the string works. Okay. Let's see. So this is some of the common, frequently used function like lowercase, uppercase. So sometimes you want to use it, like let's say you want to enter username, okay? Username. You know, sometimes we do it all the time when you try to log in, and sometimes you want to check if the username matches. And most of the username, it doesn't really matter if it's uppercase or lowercase, it still works. So if I put, for example, inputs, enter your username. Okay, so username is this. Now, sometimes, as I said, sometimes by mistake, instead of like typing A, you typed uppercase A. Or maybe stuff like typing it all username or password or uppercase. So it should not matter, right? It's not password. Password, of course, it is case sensitive, but the username. So to accept your login, even if you are entering using the wrong case, then we use lower. We can just change it to lower and then check. So let's say, for example, this is the real user. Okay, let's say user. Okay, my username is, let's say, um, David. Marks. Okay, let's say this is the user. So I can just change it. I'm going to put here. If the username that lower is equal, that means you change it to lowercase to avoid that case problem. If it is equal to my username, then you can say the username is valid or the true username match. Okay, so lowercase. So that's one of the cases where you can use the lowercase or the lower function. Okay, so some of them, the strip also, you know, even like talking about the username, you know, sometimes by mistake, like you try to enter the username and by mistake you hit the space bar a couple of times, but the program still allows you to log in. It's because of strip. Strip basically is just get rid of any space, any extra space, unintended spaces. For example, if you enter, let's say, space a couple of times, and then you put the username, the program still allows you. Why? Because it's going to ignore any space that you have. No, it's not going to ignore spaces that you have in the middle, but it's at the beginning or at the end. So for example, here, I'm going to say if the username, and then I'm going to put strip. That means get rid of any. So for example, okay, this is the name, right? David Morris. So I'm going to put here, enter your username. Let's say by mistake, I hit the space bar a couple of times. And then I put the real one, David Morris. So because of the strip, so the program will get rid of any spaces, whether it's in the front or at the end, and then compare only the characters. So if I hit the enter key, see the usernames match, even though they're not, they don't match because you have extra two spaces. But strip will get rid of any. And also they have also right strip, R strip, and left strip. If you want to focus only on one side, let's say the left side or right side. Strip will do both of them, will get rid of any spaces that you have. So these are the most frequently functions that you need to be familiar with because you're going to be using them. You're going to use them very, very frequently. So all of this here. So we're going to probably have one more session talking about this because I cannot cover everything at the same time. I'm just giving you the most important thing, but we're going to be talking about all of them. This is for the characters, right? Sometimes you enter the character and you want to check, is it a numerical? Is it a numerical? Is it alphabet? Is it a digits? Is it lowercase? Is it uppercase? So all of this is it's part of the string of character. Okay, we're gonna have an example about this. And also this is another type of functions. If you want to check if the string, let's use this one, ends with, okay? So for example, I may say that, let's say I have an email and then I put, let's say, Maria Gomez, and then I put here, okay, let's say gmail.com. Okay, so that's email, assuming that's the email I have. So I want to check if it, I'm sorry, I misspelled it. So Gmail. So if I want to check if it is an email or not, if it's valid or not, I can do something like that. I can put a statement. I'm going to put if it's email and with. So I'm going to put email, as you can see here in the example. So you put the string inside the parentheses. So you're going to put and, so you put the functions first. And with, I don't think W is capitalized, because in other languages it's capitalized. I don't think in Python. So and with, and you put the string in here. Okay, I think no, you put the email here. Email and with, and then whatever you want to end. So for example, here I can put at gmail.com. So if it ends with gmail.com, for example, I may say, oh, it is valid email. Print, it is a valid email. So I'm going to run the program and say, or else, I'm going to put else, print, not valid. So I'm going to put run, not valid. See? Not missing. If the email ends with, oh, because I misspelled again, Gmail. Or let's, instead of typing that, let me get input from the user. Enter your valid. So if it ends with at gmail.com, assuming that Gmail is the only one that is valid, then it will say that. So I'm going to put here my name, and then I'm going to put Gmail. Let's say by mistake I forgot the N, so it's going to say not valid. Okay, and then I'm going to put other name at gmail.com. Going to say it is a valid here. So that's a very powerful function. Okay, it ends with. You can also use starts with. Yeah, starts with if it's in the front. Find is if you want to check if something is in the string or not. So for example, I can put here, let's say, oh, let's use this. I'm going to put find. But for example, if I don't find at, then it must be if email that finds at. That means if at can be found in the email, I can say it's that. Okay. So I can put enter your email, and then I put my name, and I forgot to put the at, and I put gmail.com. So there is no at, going to say it is a valid. If we finds at, it is a valid. What is it? Find. It should say not valid. So find, return the lowest. Oh, it returns it doesn't return true, false. It returns the lowest index where S1 starts. So the find, basically it returns only the index. So for example, I can put, let's say, index is email find at. That means where at is located. So if I print and it's going to give me where at is there. Okay, so I'm going to run it into your email. So if I put my name and then you put at gmail.com, so it's going to say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See? So 6 is basically the location of at. Okay, so I can say, for example, here, a statement, if end is higher or equal than 0. So because if it's positive, it means it is found. It is somewhere in there. But if it's not 0, it's a negative number, because if it's not found, it's going to return -1. So if it is higher, any number higher or equal than 0, that means it is found somewhere. I can put print email valid email, else print not valid. So that's another way to check. Enter your valid email. So I'm going to put here my name at gmail.com. I don't see how slow. Okay. So I'm going to stop this. Okay, let's try again. So enter. So if you have a situation like this where it's sometimes it's better to refresh. Okay. So sometimes it's good to refresh. You may lose all your work, but be careful that you have everything saved. So we said the find, so the function find will return the index. That index will be positive if the character or the string can be found. So let's do this again. So let's say we have email inputs into your email. So I'm going to find the index using email find, and then let's say .com. So .com is going to search. So the location of .com. So which means if it finds it, it will return the location of the dots, because that's the starting point. So if that number is positive, that means it is found. It doesn't really matter what number it is, but it has to be positive, because if it's not found, it's going to return automatically -1. So I'm going to put here, if end is positive, I have any number higher than 0, so you can say that email. Else, not that email. So let's test this. So I'm going to enter the email, my name, gmail.com. So as you can see, .com. So the program is going to search 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the end would be 12, and 12 definitely is higher or equal than 0. So valid email will be there. Now, what about if I don't have it? Except for whatever reason I forgot and I put something. Let's say, okay, I put Gmail, but I forgot .com. So it's going to say not valid email, because .com was not found. Now let me print in to show you. It's going to press negative. Print in. So I'm going to put some my name, email. So if I hit the enter key, it's going to say not valid email, and it's going to return the value of n. Since it's not found, it will be negative. So -1 means not found. It's not found anywhere in the string. Okay. So that's the. So count, basically, it counts how many times that substring is repeated. So that's an easy way to count how many. So let's use an example here. So maybe I'm going to count how many spaces in there. Okay. So let me use an example. Here, let's say sentence. And then I'm going to put here Python is a very language. One of the fun and user friendly language to use. So let's say I want to count how many spaces they have. I can use count. So I'm going to see here, print count, and then you put, of course, you have to use the string sentence that count, and you put spacing. That means I want to count how many spaces I have. So if you run it, it's going to say 9 if you count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's an easy way to count. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't have this function, so what choice do you have? Look how many lines of code you're going to be saving. So I'm going to say count is 0. I'm just going to declare a variable so I can use it. And then I'm going to put here for, we didn't learn about the loop, but I'm just going to show you if you don't use count, how many lines of code it will take to find what you're looking for. So I'm going to put here for X in sentence. That means basically for every character, let me call it letter or character, for every letter in sentence. Okay, if that letter is space equal space. If it is space, then count it. I'm going to put count plus equal 1. That means add 1. See? So basically what I'm telling the program, okay, check every single character of this sentence. Python is very fun. If you see space, count, add 1 to the variable count. So this is basically it's going to 1, 2, 3. So P is not space. It's not going to change count. It's still 0. Y is not going to change. So when you get to the first space, count will be 1. When you get to the next space, 2, and so on. See? And then I'm going to use print. So I'm going to say the number of empty spaces in sentence is, and then I'm going to put count. So let's use this. See, it's 9. Look how difficult it is. Just look, 1, 2, 3, 4. All of this can be done with what? With print, and then you put sentence, count, space. Look, so learning about this string function will make your programming experience very convenient and stress-free, because there's a lot of things that you can do it in one line. So if you run the program, see, it shows you line. See, that's how simple it is. So as I mentioned, like all of this, so we may have to add one more session because there's many of them. So all of this also is other that. So a bunch of them capitalize to capitalize your string, lowercase. We talked about lowercase, uppercase, title case. And then if you want to replace something with something else. So when you have a string and you replace, let's say, A by E or space by no space, So this is a very useful one, replace. Let me show you how simple it is. So let's say this sentence, I want to get rid of spaces. Let's say I want to remove any space. An easy way is to use replace. So I'm going to put my new sentence. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put get the sentence and replace what? Replace space by no space. See that? That's how simple it is. That means every time I find space, basically just remove it. So now let me print the new space, the new sentence, my new sentence. So run it. See that? That's how simple it is. And again, if you don't know this function, then what choice do you have? I have to do the following. I need to get a new sentence. Okay. So I'm going to put a new sentence. Now let me start with nothing. Okay. It's nothing. And then I have to put for every letter in my sentence, if the letter is a space, or maybe if it's not space, okay, that would be nice. Okay, you don't have to worry about this because this is a chapter that we did not cover yet about the loop. That's probably next week or the week after. But I'm just showing you what happened if you don't know these string functions. It's going to take way more coding than what we normally have to. So learning about this function will make your coding experience much easier. So I'm going to put here, if it's not space, then add that letter to the new, because remember my new sentence, it has nothing, empty, and I'm going to start building. I'm going to put my new sentence plus equal a letter or sentence just add the letter. Add the letter. So add it to the new sentence. So P, is P different than space? Yes, add it to the new sentence. Y, is it a space? No, add it. When I get to space, is it different than space? No, so it will not be added. So that's a different way to it. So now, if I want to print the new sentence, my new sentence, it would print them without space, as you can see. So which one is easier, using one line of code or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines? Okay. All right. So I'm not gonna make it longer. So as I said, I'm gonna add one more session because there is a lot of function to cover. But I think you got the message. So all of this just with practice. So we're going to go over the string is one of the topics that is most frequently used in programming in all languages. So knowing about these functions will make it easier. Of course, there are always a different way to do things, but it's good to be familiar with them. Okay. All right. So please let me know if you have any questions. And one more time, I really apologize for missing canceling the meeting from Wednesday and Thursday. So for family reasons, I apologize for that. But thank you so much. Again, I'm gonna post this video for people who did not get the chance to attend. And let me know if you have any questions. Okay, thank you so much.